Good afternoon, dear friends. You are on the channel Military Reporter and we are still studying the situation on the front. Yesterday Zelensky spoke and said a lot of interesting things. It turns out that everything is going according to plan in the Ukrainian armed forces in Kursk region and they are performing the tasks they are supposed to perform. But what amused me even more is that it turns out that Ukraine has defeated everyone in Saudi Arabia. That's what Zelensky said. Moreover, he said that everyone knows that Ukraine won in Saudi Arabia. That is, it was not she who was bent on a complete ceasefire there, but she defeated everyone. Now to the situation on the front. Let's open the map. So, friends, let's talk about the situation in the Kursk region and also touch on other parts of the front. Although the main events are now taking place in Kursk region, and many people are interested in them for obvious reasons, there is also movement on other parts of the front. But let's start with the Kursk region. What happened yesterday? There were several events. First of all, the movement west of Zaporizhzhia continued. I am referring to the section near Rubinov and Gogolevka. Now we use the Ukrainian map, because the Russian cartographers have fallen asleep and do not update the maps. So, Rubeni has been completely cleared, and the Defense Ministry has already reported on the capture of the village. Gogolev has also been taken under control. However, there is still activity of the Ukrainian armed forces on the western outskirts of the village. In addition, fighting continued yesterday near the village of Oleshny. Although it is painted on the map as controlled by the Ukrainian armed forces, in fact, the Ukrainian armed forces no longer control the village. There is a gray zone there. It is approximately the same situation as in Shevchenko in the Pokrovsk direction, when both Ukrainian armed forces and Russian assault groups can enter the village, but no one has full control. Nevertheless, panic is visible in the Ukrainian armed forces ranks, as they are already even changing into civilian clothes in an attempt to escape from the encirclement. Yesterday, for example, I posted a video on the channel where they took one AFU soldier who had changed into civilian clothes and tried to escape, but failed. Just as a whole group of Ukrainian armed forces failed to escape here, near the Velikoi tract. There the Marines covered a whole group of Ukrainian armed forces. This whole group tried to bypass the Marines through the forest belt and go to Sumy region, but got caught. As a result, they had to say a lot of interesting things on the video. As for Gueva, by the way, it is still controlled by the AFU. In particular, we managed to enter Gaevo from the north and take control of the streets. The area of the water tower, as well as Sovetskaya and Kolkhoznaya streets were taken. In general, artillery worked on the village of Gaevo. Nevertheless, unlike in other areas, the Ukrainian armed forces are trying to organize something like a SOFA defense here. Apparently they have come to their senses. However, this is unlikely to help them in any way. The Ukrainian armed forces bridgehead in Kursk region has shrunk to a pitiful size. At the moment, only 2 villages remain under the full control of the Ukrainian armed forces, although even this is questionable, because Gaevo is already partially out of their control. The Ukrainian armed forces now control less than 6 square kilometers of territory. But, believe me, the most interesting is yet to come. It is not without reason that yesterday Zelensky became hysterical, claiming that Russian troops are accumulating forces to strike Sumy region. Now we're going to break it down. As I said at the beginning, yesterday Zelensky said that everything is going according to plan, and the Ukrainian armed forces in the Kursk region are carrying out all their tasks. Well, God with them, if their task is to surrender or die, so be it. But also Zelensky said that the Russian army is accumulating resources in preparation for a strike on Sumy region. And I will say this is not far from the truth. I have been saying this for the 3rd day in a row. Now the main forces are concentrated on the final mopping up of the remaining territories under occupation in the Kursk region. However, everyone understands perfectly well what will happen after the Kursk region is completely liberated. That is why the Kiev authorities have declared mandatory evacuation in the border areas of Sumy region. That's why all this talk about an imminent ceasefire is utter nonsense. Putin instructed Gerasimov to create a security zone here, and now the troops are preparing for it in full swing. At the moment, an offensive is already underway in the Sumy region. Yes, it is not full-scale, not directly active, but nevertheless the most active actions are taking place in the Basovka area. The village of Basovka has not yet been taken under control, although there have been reports of its capture, but no, there is still fighting there. Nevertheless, the total depth of the breakthrough into Sumy region is already 6 km, and the total area of the bridgehead is almost 40 km superscript 2. It should be understood that all this has been achieved with rather limited forces. However, a full-fledged offensive by large formations is expected here quite soon. Then we will see what will be achieved in the end. At the moment there are 2 villages under the control of the Russian army in Sumy region, Novinkoy and Zurovka. Plus now there are battles for Basovka. Let's talk about other parts of the front. And let's start with the south of Zaporizhzhia region. Here Kaki was completely taken and cleaned up. There was even a video with a flag, which serves as additional confirmation. In addition, to the east there was a visit to Maly Skrbaki. Although Europodolyaika says that they have entered not only Maly Skrbaki, but also Skrbaki, but I have no confirmation of this information. So we will proceed from what we know for sure. The troops did enter Maly Skrbaki, and now there is fighting there. How important is this advance? I'll put it this way, very important. No exaggeration. If both of these villages come under control, then this road will be completely cut off. It will also be used to attack the town of Orkhov from the west, encircling Orkhov from the west side. In general, the same tactics are used here, not a frontal assault, but coverage from both sides. There has not been such activity in this direction for a long time, so we will watch the development of events. South of Donbass. Here the troops managed to break through the Ukrainian armed forces' defense and enter the village of Volno-Poly. Fierce fighting is going on there now. In addition, as can be seen on the map, the advance is also recorded in the fields between Volny-Poly and Shevchenko. Thus, in the very near future it is possible to fight for Shevchenko itself. And behind it is the last line of defense. If it can be broken, the army will enter operational space almost 20 km without any fortifications. The Ukrainian Armed Forces Command understands this very well, so it is urgently sending reserves here. In addition, according to reports from the Ukrainian side, fighting has intensified in the area from Kotlov to Troitskoy. Both there and there, Russian troops are trying to break through the defenses in order to reach the border with Dnipropetrovsk region. Assault actions are going on daily with the use of armored vehicles. However, there have been no significant successes so far. The fighting is very heavy. Also heavy fighting continues in the Pokrovsky direction. It is for the fighters from this direction that we are collecting funds for an evacuation vehicle. The Ukrainian armed forces continue to attack in the Shevchenko area. As you can see from the map, most of the village is now under their control, but Russian forces retain control over the southern part of the village. It's a real drill there, very heavy fighting. So an evacuation vehicle is essential. Today is the last day of collection. Any amount will help save the lives of our fighters. Now about Toretsk. The map shows that this is one of the areas where the Ukrainian armed forces are trying to counterattack. Most of the city remains under the control of Russian troops, but the Ukrainian armed forces continue counterattacks. By the way, it's worth noting that these counterattacks have been going on for over a month and a half. And what have they achieved? As you can see, nothing. They have not recaptured the city, not even half of it. The Ukrainian armed forces are just breaking through in certain areas, where they are then covered with fire, including FAB strikes. In addition, the Russian army has become more active on the eastern flank. It managed to regain control of Krimskoy and also took control of the village of Daknoy. Thus, at the moment the eastern flank of Toretsk is more or less stabilized. That's all I have for today on the situation on the front. I wish you a good weekend, have a rest, take care of yourself, and I hope to meet you again tomorrow.